Hey, I got a question for you. I'm going to start right out the gate asking you questions. Have you ever seriously given thought to the practices, the routines, the things that you do without much effort? Second question, do you have a goal, a dream, or desire that seems to be getting away from you, it's eluding you? Well, if you said yes to either of those questions, today's show, it's just for you because I'm going to be sharing the real process of setting up habit stacking in the real world for real people. I'm going to share three requirements for creating new habits and the four-step process to create new habits using habit stacking. So, as you all know, or maybe you don't know, so I'll share. I am reading through the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. But before I started reading the book this months ago, I was planning what January would be about. And this came to my mind. And it just so happens that I'm reading the book and it's at the same time that I'm going through this series. And it has me working through some things. So I'm actually going to share with you myself a couple of habits that I've habit stacked and give you some of the results that I'm experiencing even right now. So, before I get into it, I just want to remind you of a few things. Habits truly run our life. We have practices that we do regularly without giving it any thought, things that we do that are on autopilot. I'll give you a couple of examples. The direction you drive to work, the aisles we walk down in the grocery store. What do we do when we start our morning routine at home? Or we just get up and start our day? What we do when we start our day when we get to the job? How we greet family? Who we text every day at a certain time? All of those activities are habits, and most of us do them without giving it much thought. We don't have to do them. They formed over long periods of repeat practice. So, if you answered yes to there is something that you are dreaming of, you're desiring that's getting away from you, the answer to move you closer to getting that, whatever that goal is informing the habits that will get you to that end result. So, before I get into the meat and potatoes, I want to see who's out there and say hello to you and greet you. And I want to remind you that if you're new here, go ahead and put hashtag newbie in the chat. And of course, if you've been with me and you're still riding with me, put hashtag drive tribe just so I know who's here in the community and the family hanging out with us. And I do see a couple of folks. So I want to say hello and greet you all directly. So let's get to that exactly. So let's start with Frank Jackson. Hey, thank you, Frank, for welcoming everybody to the show. You're one of the moderators on the show and always here serving, usually the first one. And dear Philip, so glad to have you here and hope all is well. You know, I was looking at your short about you need more than 20 years. I need more than 20 more years, but that baby is smart to sit and think after you said what you said, to just look at you and say, you've got about 20 more years. That blessed my heart. That really, really did. Hello, emotional CEO, another moderator. Moderator, salute to you. Happy Friday, Live Tribe. And if you are watching and you're not commenting in chat, welcome to the Live Tribe. Glad to have you here with us. So I'm going to get into the meat and potatoes of what we're going to talk about tonight, these practices, these things you need to do, these steps. But I'm going to start with telling you what has been happening with me, and then my desire. So I've had a couple things I've wanted to accomplish, and the way I'm going about it is using this habit stacking. So goal number one is to get to where I'm publishing one long form video every week on YouTube. That was not what I was doing. I wasn't publishing long form videos, pre recorded videos. So that was the goal. That's what I wanted to accomplish. I went through and said, what habits do I have currently that are working? And as I made the list and looked at it, I realized every day between about 5:30 and 6 o'clock, Monday through Friday, I review my business calendar. I look at it and make sure I understand what's on the docket for the evening, anybody I'm moderating for, any shows I'm wanting to watch, any commitments I've made, any appointments I have. That that is a habit that I have. And what I did was said, okay, well, what is something that I can do that will get me closer to reviewing this, getting these videos? So here's the habit, the stack. After I review my business calendar Monday through Friday, I open Final Cut Pro and I edit a video for 30 minutes. That's it. I look at my calendar. Soon as I finish looking at my calendar, I open Final Cut Pro and I edit a video for 30 minutes. I don't edit it till it's finished. I just say, commit to 30 minutes. That's all. One habit. I've been doing that now for a few weeks. And what has the result been? I'm been consistent in practicing the habit. That's first and foremost. But as a result of practicing the habit, I'm building my internal motivation to start seeing how I change the way I deliver content, especially when I'm filming, so that I tell the story and answer the question that's intended to be answered by the video that I'm putting together. Another kind of adjacent result has been I've been able to put more videos out on a more regular basis. And I've got more videos in the hopper or in the queue to be edited. But remember, my habit, I changed one thing. I was already looking at my calendar. The habit that I stacked on it and tied to it was open Final Cut Pro and edit for 30 minutes. So that's one. The second one was a goal to become a proficient Final Cut Pro video editor. My current habit that I attached to it was I read and recite my affirmations every morning. It's part of my morning routine. Do it every morning. So what I stacked to it was after I say my affirmations, I write down one Final Cut Pro skill that I want to learn today. I already have my plans laid out. I just give it a couple of minutes and I just jot it down. One skill that I want to learn today. So when I calculate, that's 7 skills a week. They may be very small, but it's 7 new parts that I am learning every week. Now, these go together because they ultimately are going to get me to a bigger goal. But those were the 2 small habits and how I stacked them with something that I was already doing and I just do them. I don't even think about looking at my calendar at that time. I don't think about my affirmations. I just do it because it's consistent. I've done it long enough. The result, of course, is I'm learning the skills and I'm accelerating because I'm doing something every day. but it's also leading into me understanding how to tell the story or answer the question better without feeling overwhelmed and trying to do all the skills at one time. It's allowing me to focus, but I'm seeing the results faster. These aren't visible to anybody else. So, those are two. Now, I literally have shown you, told or shared with you, told you the story of how habit stacking work and telling you the story, telling you about the two of the habits that I'm working on. I have so many more I'm working on. Let me just tell you, I got a whole lot I'm working on. I'm going to share, and this is what I'm going to encourage you. If you somewhere that you can write down some of these ideas, I want to share just a catalog of some of the habit areas to consider in your life. I'm going to attack it. I'm going to talk from two perspectives. One from your personal life, in case you're the person who thinks it's all about my personal life and I don't care about my job, or I don't want to focus on my job, or and from your professional life. If you're the person, I'm a business owner, I'm an aspiring business owner, I'm a long-term business owner, and I want to focus on that. So, two areas, personal and professional, however you define that for you. So, some things you can think about, some habits you can think about regularly in your personal life, regularly stretching, exploring nature, getting outside, cultivating gratitude. That's a good one. Household maintenance, home cooking if you don't do home cooking regularly. Guilty. Cultivating patience, a hydration routine, drinking more water. Next, action management, getting the family dinner 15 minutes before dinner time. It's supposed to start. Getting to another event in your community 5 minutes before it's supposed to start. So those are just some ideas to give you. They're, literally you can come up with 50, 100, 200. But those are some things to think about. On a professional side, some habits to consider, and some of these you could use on the personal, is the habit of reading, the habit of goal setting, developing a growth mindset, developing the habit of arriving at scheduled meetings 5 minutes before the meeting is supposed to start, responding to business text messages within 4 hours, responding to customer emails in one business day, replying to customer or member comments and messages in your membership community in about 12 hours. None of those are earth shattering. And any of us could say, I'm just going to do it. Here's your challenge. You don't do it. And the reason we don't, you don't, I don't, the reason we don't is those things are not habits yet. And we go do the thing that's habits because we don't have to think about it. And the thing that we haven't formed the habit of, we don't go do it. And then when we don't go do it and we think about we didn't do it, we're kicking ourselves, me included. I'm not pointing at anybody. This is so me. Uh, I'm wobbling right now because this is so me. But that's because the habit hasn't been formed. So, what is habit stacking then? It is simply the process of creating your own rules or your own habits to follow. But here's the key: there are three requirements to make it happen. Three. One, two, three. And I'm going to go through these relatively quickly. And I would love your feedback. If where this resonates with you, leave a comment, put a comment in chat. So the first one we're going to talk about is motivation. Motivation. Something has to motivate you to want to establish a habit. And that motivation has to be internal. In an earlier show, I talked about changing your belief system. Your belief system gets to your motivation. If you don't believe it, all of the big ideas that happen, they fall by the wayside because that internal motivation hasn't gotten deep enough into your belief system. Feeling good is great, and I'm hoping that I'm inspiring you, not motivating you. My goal is to inspire you to want to build that motivation yourself. Now, if you're satisfied with your life just as it is and everything is hunky dory and there is nothing that you have a goal for, a desire for, anything you want to see different, I'm not talking to you. I'm not sharing any of this for that person who has zero that they're interested in changing or seeing different in your life. Talking to you, the purpose driven leader, who there is something that you want in your life, personal life, professional life, whichever one or a combination thereof. It starts with having the motivation, and the motivation is internal. It is not external. There's nothing that something outside of you is ultimately going to make you commit to building the habit that's necessary to get what you want. But once you got the motivation down and you're locked in on what that is and you worked on the belief system, the second thing you need is this. You have to repeat it. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Doing it, saying it, experiencing it over and over and over. This is how habits are built. If I have a desire to learn, like I said, I have a desire to learn editing. If I don't repeat the behavior, I'm not going to learn it. I can look at a million videos. I can listen to 100 trainers. But if till I start doing it, I'm not going to develop the skill that I need. Not going to happen. So whatever that thing is, the repetition, and you don't start at 0 and think you're going to be at 100 in 2 days. If you're starting at 0 on a habit, you may get to 0.25 tomorrow. Example, I said stretching. Well, maybe stretching is a little bit too far to go. Maybe you want to develop the habit of stretching, but you haven't even started yet. So maybe it's just, hey, I'm going to just wiggle my toes when I get up. Because if you jump up and say, I'm going to stretch every day and you haven't been doing it and it hasn't become a habit, that's going to last about 3 days. Ask me how I know. So repetition, number one, motivation. Number two, these are required to get those habits in, is repetition, repeating the behavior, small, almost imperceptible changes, habits, behaviors. Okay. And the final one is being consistent. Repetition and consistent is two different things. You can repeat a behavior, but the repetition is so inconsistent that it doesn't form. You do it today, and then you do it again in 3 months, and then you do it again in 2 weeks when you think about it. That will not develop your habit. You do it again when you start feeling guilty. That will not develop whatever the habit is. If I did not consistently practice the thing that I say I want to do in the small way that I say, I'm never going to get there. So you can repeat and not be consistent, and you still won't form the habit. So all three: motivation, repetition, and consistency. Okay? So let's move on. We've now gotten through these three requirements that you are setting rules for. And when I say setting rules, because these are your rules of behavior, right? You're the only person who knows, you're the only person who's going to see or hear these rules that you set. Other people are not going to, they're not visible. They become evident to other people when the external changes start to show up. Example, me editing. They'll become evident to other people as I put more videos out and the quality of the editing improve. But the behavior isn't seen by anyone. The putting down the one new skill every day is not visible to anyone. The practicing of actually editing for 30 minutes every day is not visible to anyone. The thing that's visible externally is a result of practicing the behavior. Remember, I think it was last week. If you go back and watch that video, part of what we talked about, James Clear calls out to what most people consider as a habit change is the outcome that they want to see, not the behavior that they have to do. It's this external part. Okay. By the time that happens, you've had a complete mindset change. You're thinking about whatever that habit is has so dramatically changed that you're not ever going to go back. Now, why does this work in terms of stacking it with something else that you're already doing? And the answer is in because you're already doing something, right? You're already, let's say, you make a cup of tea in the morning before you leave to drink. You already have built the habit of making that cup of tea. You make a cup of coffee and you bring the cup of coffee with you to the car in the morning and you drink it on the way to wherever you're going. You already have that habit. You don't have to think about it. So adding a small tweak and attaching it to that existing habit is why it works. You're not having to figure out this first part. You're adding a very tiny thing as a second part, as a routine. I check my calendar. As soon as I finish checking my calendar, I open Final Cut Pro and I edit for 30 minutes. That's the reason it works, because you're already doing the first part. And we're doing them without thinking about them. They're on autopilot, and they are physical actions that we can already use to solidify them in our brain, to build the neurological connections in our brain to make it work. So now that you know what to do, how to do it, you've got some examples. Let's talk about, well, how the heck do I go about doing this? How do I build these rules, if you will? And there are 4 steps. Step number 1, and I gave this to you, but I didn't explain it, is write down your list of current habits. Just make a list. You can use whatever you use, a sheet of paper, a Word doc, a Pages doc, a Google doc, Google Keep, Apple Notes. It doesn't matter. Whatever you currently take your notes in, however you do that, just make a list of your existing habits. It will be eye-opening. What are the things I already do naturally that that they're just routine for me? The second, you make a second list. And that second list is, what are the habits you want to build or create? List number 1, what are my habits already? List number 2 is, what do I want to build or create? So now you got these 2 habits through list. of habits. Some you have, some you want to have, right? So then you look at an existing habit, you look at a desired habit, and you figure out what on this desired list will I attach to what's on this existing list. How do I do that? James Clear has a definitive, clear way of writing it. This is not a thinking exercise, this is a writing exercise. And you write down the new habit in one of two ways. After current habit, I will new habit. After I review my calendar in the evening, my business calendar, I will open Final Cut Pro and edit for 30 minutes. I told you, I gave you the answer at the beginning. After I look at my calendar at between 5:30 and 6:30 every day, I will open Final Cut Pro and edit for 30 minutes. That's the cheat code. That's one. The other one is before. Before current habit, I will new habit. Example. Before I eat dessert, I will send a message to my best friend and say hello. That may sound silly. It doesn't matter what it is. It's either after an existing habit, something that you already do, or before current habit, something you already do. Now, you could rephrase to say, when I current habit, I will new habit. But I like after I current habit, I will new habit. Or before I current habit, I will new habit. So for all of you who want to develop and you have a desire to achieve something and you have not made progress that you desire to make, look at something, old habit and desired habit. Figure out how you attach one together and make that your commitment. Don't do 10 of these because you're not going to do 10 at one time. Pick one. And then once you get that one going, maybe you add a second one. This is not you add 30 things and you do none of them. You add 30 desires and 30 habits and none of them get done because you're not going to be consistent. You're not going to repeat them. So there's a little bit of discipline in here. And the existing habits removes you having to externally discipline yourself to do the thing because you're already doing it. It's already automatic for you. Okay? So let's wrap up this conversation with some examples, and I'm going to use 4 areas of your life. It's just some examples to think about. So in your personal life, that's your health, your family, your home. An example could be, after I eat dinner, I will listen to an educational podcast while I clean the kitchen. Simple. You're already going to clean the kitchen, at least I hope you are. Turn on a podcast, listen to it. Let's say in your job life, your work life, your employment. After I check my email in the morning, why did I pick that? Because despite the knowledge that you shouldn't check email in the morning, the first thing anybody who works in an office that has a computer where they have email, the first thing they do is open email and look at it. Me included. I have to intentionally make myself not do it because I catch myself and I'm like, nope, this is not my routine. Let me go do my routine and then come back to this. But after I check my email in the morning, I will write down one thing I want to accomplish, not what other people gave me. One thing I want to accomplish today in business life, full time, part time, sometime. After lunch, I will brainstorm questions that I want to answer for my customers or my target audience. Example, let's say you do volunteer work, you support a cause, you work in ministry, you volunteer in your church, you volunteer somewhere in the community, you volunteer in your homeowners association. Here's an example. Before checking my email on Wednesday, assuming you check your volunteer email on Wednesday, I will look at the weekly volunteer action plan and pick 3 actions to execute in the next 7 days. 1 day a week, every Wednesday, I'm going to do that. Why? Because your habit is you look at your volunteer email every Wednesday, something you already do. Attach the new habit to that. So, those are some examples. Hopefully, they resonated with you. And I see some other folks have shown up. And if you have a question while I'm greeting you and welcoming you, I'm going to say go ahead and put a question in the comment. And if you have feedback, put feedback in. If any of, where this has resonated with you, put a comment in and let me know that the information has resonated with you. There are 6 of you all on the live. I've got 3 likes. So if you have not, go ahead and hit that like button as well. It would help the channel. It would definitely help the channel. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well. It will help get the message out and help this channel to grow. So ask a question, leave a comment while I'm greeting you all. So let me go there. Let me go there. Let me go there. All right. So let's see who has come in. Yeah, Philip, you have 2 channels. Next Step of Faith, which I always want to call Next Leap of Faith. I don't know why. And Fish Stick. It's because you got that beautiful puppy. All right. So Philip says, my target is to create 1 YouTube short every week. What I have found is I remain focused when I create 2 shorts each week. I have 2 scripts written for the next week, and I will video this weekend. So you're developing a habit. Okay. I am learning YouTube Shorts, my camera, my webcam, branding, my voice. I am learning, but not allowing learning and issues to hinder production. Oh, I am so with you. I'm learning every day. I am learning every day. I am learning every day. So I'm right there with you. So we have a question. How do you know? You said to ask. David, can you give me a little bit of clarification? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Hey, Roy. Glad you're driving and listening. Be careful out there. Be careful out there. And then Philip says, I need discipline in creating new habits. People have to respect my need to be organized. I tell my family what I have to do that day, and I do it. I need discipline in creating new habits. Well, this month is all for you then because we are walking through creating habits without that force of will. Because the force of will doesn't, unfortunately for all of us, myself included, it does not last. It does not last. You say, I am retired, do not think I should have no issues. I now have more time for distractions. I know, right? You got more time. You don't have it's not distraction free zone. It's not a distraction free zone. Hello, hello, hello. Yolanda, somebody said something that brought you to mind. I'm going to bring it back because I want you to see this. Philip said, I am learning YouTube Shorts, my camera, my webcam, and branding my voice. He is so in your wheelhouse, lady. You got something for him coming up. Greetings, greetings, greetings. So, we have really covered the core of the material this evening. I didn't want to take a whole lot of your time, but I do want to say to you, if you have, um, oh, okay. Let me come back. He put a comment in here. You said David put in, you were talking about stretching and then being done after 3 days. Ask me how I know. So I did. Yes. Ask me how I know. Well, I know because I did it. Got this big goal. I'm going to do this thing. And I did not attack it or approach it as I'm building a new habit. And that willpower lasted about 3 days. And then I went back to old habits. S- that's how I know about, you're going to stretch or you're going to walk or you're going to do whatever. And it's force of will and it's not developing the habit. That's how I know because I've done it. Just so you know, for everybody, when I say ask me how I know, it's because it's something I personally have struggled with and I've been through. That's how I know. It's been my story. It's in my life story and my experience directly. All right. I don't see any questions. So if no one has questions, I'm not going to hold you. Um, I am going to ask you one more question. And if you've stuck with it this long, I want you to share, if you will, not something super personal, but an area of your life that you will set a new habit in to form. One area of your life that you will set a new habit in to form. Take action. Don't be passive. This is not developing habits, changing what we want, changing what we get, creating the next version of our life. It's not a passive exercise. It requires intentional engagement and doing something that, again, may not even feel like it's going to make a difference. Inside, emotionally, mentally, it doesn't feel like it's going to make a difference. But that passivity is what leaves us stuck where we have been. Take the time, it should take you 30 seconds to think of not what the exact habit is, but an area of your life, your personal life, your family life, your job, your business, your hobby, your volunteer service, whatever it is, and say, I have identified a habit in this area, fill in the blank, that I'm going to work on. Put it in the comments. Take the action, get in motion. A body in motion stays in motion. A body at rest stays at rest. So, David Hunt. David Hunt, sir, he says, I'm going to start drinking a gallon of water a day. You are not. You are not. You may start drinking a little bit of water and build up to it, but you're not going to start drinking a gallon of water tomorrow and stick with it. If you don't drink water like that, you're not going to do it. Now, I know someone who does drink a gallon of water a day, but they've been doing it for years. They've literally been doing it for years. And so it's a habit for them. They do it all the time. And again, they don't have to think about it because it's a habit. So that's it. That's all. I don't see any questions. This is a great one. I'm glad to see that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Taking an hour a day for yourself. That one, Figure out how you're going to start. What are you going to stack it with? What is the habit that you have today that either before that thing or after that thing, you're going to stack that on top of so that you stay consistent with it and you don't allow people like Florence who will bother you disturb your time. That's my challenge to you. Figure out what you're going to stack it with. And Philip says, I will make it a habit to spend regular one on one time with my wife and making my children and grandchildren understand they do not own her time or my time, especially not our time. Oh, I love it. Yes, 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 yes. I love it, Philip. Awesome. Especially because you retired. Let that woman have her time with you, please. Let her have her time with you. I taught you that. Just need to implement it. Take time for me. Well, it is important to take time for you every day. Especially Yolanda, I've watched you, and I know you're doing a show at 8 o'clock tonight. Purple Friday. Purple Friday. We just waiting for the Ravens to spank the Bills. Just spank the Bills. That's all I'm gonna say. Um, between your career, your family, your business, you supporting so many people, it is essential that time for you. Whatever you decide to do your nails, soak in the tub, read a book, listen to music, veg out, whatever it is, time for you. All right. So, David, you did okay. You started with 100 ounces this week, and okay. So, day 4, today is day 4 of being consistent. Awesome. Congratulations. Congratulations. And you're going to add the other 28 ounces soon. Okay. So, go back 2 weeks ago, and I would say look at the methodologies and the techniques because you're seeing a week. You need to do this longer than a week for it to stick and to really dial in. Okay. But I would encourage you to do that. But congratulations. You started at 100 ounces and then you're adding more, and you're going to add the 28 more ounces soon. Awesome. So you're incrementally increasing it. So the way you wrote it at first, it sounded like you were going to go from drinking almost no water to a gallon of water every day. So, yeah, great, 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 great time this evening. Again, for the people who are a part of the replay crew, leave a comment and I will be cheering you on, and I will certainly respond to your comment on the video. And I will see you all next week as we continue this journey. And just as I just saw it. Hey, Ananea, moderator, salute to you, my friend. So glad to have you with us this evening. And to all the moderators, whether you're on this channel or another channel, I salute you and I appreciate the work that you do to support those of us who are out here, most of us learning new skills, doing something we've never done before. And it's all new and we're growing together. So awesome. Well, I'm going to say good night to you all, and I will see you all in the next video.